Okay, now we're going to begin. Okay, so hopefully by now you all watched the District 6 video. Yes, sorry, District 9 video, the Avatar video, and Mr. Blue Art's explanation of Film Task 2. Did you all do that? Ish. Okay, so what I want to do today is this week you are essentially working on Film Task 2. So you're actually just sitting and writing this essay. Okay? But what I want to do is I just want to give a little bit more clarity around this topic for this task and to go through some important aspects that are very important that you know. Okay, are we happy? Okay. So essentially the question is asked in the notes, what happens when cultures meet? What happens when two groups that have always been separate now collide or come together? Okay. And there are three things that can happen that the note suggests. Okay. The first one is separation, assimilation, acculturation. Okay. So I'm just going to go through each one of these terms quickly with you and make sure we all understand it. So, who would like to tell me what is separation? Or a nice example of where separation occurred? COVID-19. COVID-19 has created separation. Okay. Apartheid. Apartheid is obviously the most prevalent and known example to all of us, okay? And that was a policy of separation, okay? Different ethnicities were broken up into homelands, okay, in order to keep people separated, okay? So, a good way to think of this is during colonization. How did the colonizer interact with the with the people who are already living? Okay, so when it comes to separation, okay, we see this in a lot of situations, even within colonization. Okay, we see a lot of separation. Around this notion of separation, I also want to bring in a notion of paternalism. Now, where are my history kids? Okay, who would like to tell me what is paternalism? Paternalism was a kind of separation. Anyone want to explain it to us? Can't you just finish the colonization? What is paternalism? Is that Xiao or not? Hi, Xiao.
Where one person needs to think that they're better than the other.
And what do they do? Okay, so paternalism comes from the word paternal, which is father. Okay, essentially it's when one culture believes that they need to father or parent a different culture. Okay, so that is paternalism. Okay, and often that kind of attitude did lead to a notion of separation because there were very much those that could and those that, inverted commas, couldn't, right? According to the culture, ideology of those. Okay, so then we have assimilation. And when you think of assimilation, I always think of France's attitude towards colonization. They were very much about assimilation. When they arrived in an African country or on the African continent, the first thing they did was to teach them their language. Okay. It was assimilation. They tried to make the native inhabitants at the time part of their culture. They wanted to assimilate them into that culture. Okay. Are we happy? Do we understand that too? Are you sure? Okay. So essentially, it is the assimilation of a minority culture into a majority culture. But I don't actually like that word minority and majority because often it's actually not minority and majority, it's just those in power or have some form of power versus those that do not. Okay. And usually the sort of things, so language is the obvious one that they assimilate. Assimilation of foods, customs, religion, those are all sort of, they get assimilated into it. Okay, they bring in those kind of beliefs, their traditions. Okay. Generally with assimilation though, as much as there's one dominant culture, in that assimilation process, often you do find a merging of the two a little bit, where even the dominant or the powerful culture has has what's the word? Is influenced by the less powerful culture in that relationship at that time. Okay. Capiche, capiche? Happiness? Okay, so that's assimilation, and then we have acculturation. Okay, acculturation is essentially where two cultures meet and is a merging of two cultures, but in many ways that merging is equal. Okay, so with two cultures, there's sort of a balancing of the two cultures adapting to the prevailing culture of society. Okay, so there's a bit more of a balancing act. Okay, and so there's a little bit of both, and a new culture kind of emerges. Okay, so I watched this documentary once, and for those who I teach, I'm sorry because you've probably heard the story before, but I once watched this documentary about this tattoo artist that went into the South American tribes. Okay, and so what he would do is he'd go there with his, I think he was American. I don't even remember. But he went there with his culture, right? But he completely merged himself into the culture of these various places that he visited. And he would go through the various rituals in order to get these various tattoos. But he still held on to his beliefs that he was raised in, right? And so in many ways, there was this kind of acculturation where he took on the beliefs of this group that he was a part of, but he also kept the beliefs that he had prior to that. Okay. And so that's acculturation, when you almost immerse yourself in something, but as an individual, but you still hold on to who you are. Okay, and there is more of this balancing. So the two generally in a society kind of environment, the two will influence each other. Okay, but it is one of balance and generally equality. Okay, it is more of a, it's not like assimilation where there's definitely a more inverted commas powerful culture. Okay. Okay, Miss Dodge, would you like to add anything on that?
No, I think as we go through we need to be thinking about these terms and relations every time from District 9, right? These are essentially the good that we need to be unpacking and developing with more detail. So in those words, you are such two explanations. You need to think about where can you see separation in avatar in District 9? Where can you see assimilation? Where can you see acculturation? How do these things occurring affect the characters?
Okay. Happiness. Any questions? Okay. So then the next thing that's very important to take note of is that when we deal with cultures and when they meet, there's two things there's one thing that often very happens, and that is some form of dehumanizing. Okay? So in the case of paternalism, it's making them feel inferior like a child. In the case of assimilation, you often are attributing certain traditional cultural practices as less. Okay. And so when we dehumanize people, there's generally two ways that we go about it. The first one is through language. Words are powerful. Okay, and so if we look at all the examples throughout history, they've always referred to the group that they're trying to exert power over by a particular word. So if you go back to grade 9 history, you learned that in Rwanda they referred to the Tutsis as cockroaches. You remember that? Okay. Okay. They referred to the in Nazi Germany. It was the Intermention. I can never say that, and I forgot to get find students to ask me to pronounce my German. Okay. But and so which essentially just means like no class, right? Okay, and so we've always used very specific language in order to impose a form of dehumanizing. Okay, and so that's really the first thing that people do. And I think when you look at the movies in particular, ask yourself about the kind of language that is used. Okay, think very carefully about the language that is used, especially by like the Colonel and in Avatar, and about Invictus and the MNU in District 9. Okay, what are the kinds of terms they are using? Okay.
And not even terms, things like tone when they speak to each other. Right? The tone that's used when you speak to someone can be very dehumanizing as well. So think about the Provost and the Colonel and the tone that they use when speaking to the leader.
In Avatar, they call the D7s.
Yes.
Good example.
Yeah. Okay. Even the fact that they called the Pauls, the aliens in District 9. Do you remember that? Okay. That in itself is possibly a derogatory term. Not a lot. Because they're saying that they look like a particular type of animal, right? Like our cockroaches in Rwanda. Okay. Okay, so then we have, the next one is propaganda images. And the kind of images we use to show particular groups of people. And so in this is a very famous World War II poster, you'll know it. It's the one with, and it's the beautiful blonde girl is the German nation, and the gorilla type creature is supposed to be coming to steal Germany. Okay, that kind of an image, right? It's quite hateful, do you agree? I hope you don't think it's quite hateful. I think it's quite hateful. Okay, and so generally, especially in propaganda posters, we usually have a hero and a villain. Okay, it's very dual in nature. The other thing that I just wanted to bring out that wasn't so much in your notes, but really important to take note of when it comes to this notion of othering and how we treat each other and how people other each other, is the notion of pronouns. The kind of pronouns we use. Okay, us versus them. Okay, that's really important. And if you go and look at some of the comments in Avatar and in District 9, I mean, Avatar is very interesting because you have Grace, and even sometimes she'll say something that in and of itself does not seem, it seems quite supportive. But if you look at her use of pronouns, it's actually quite belittling. And so even a simple statement by Grace sometimes, there's one moment in particular, when they're in that second subclass. Remember when they, she says something and there's a use of pronoun there that's quite unoriginal. Okay, so just go and look at those things and go and look at the script. You know, does she refer to them as them? You know, she doesn't include herself when she talks about them. So that's all part of it, right? It's a kind of an unknown. It's a very informed subject, but it does exist. Okay. Okay, so then Mr. Broad would go through this topic with you, but I thought let's just go through it again. Both Avatar and District 9 hold a mirror up to humanity. Okay, so if I show a little mirror over here, Charlie, if I have a mirror over here, what am I looking at? Turn my hand as a mirror, what do you see? Okay, yes, okay. But is that called? Is the image in the mirror called? It's reflecting something there. What is it reflecting there? Okay. Hello, Miss Nico. Would you like to talk to the grade 11? Oh, okay. Okay. So it holds a mirror up to humanity. It is a reflection. That mirror is showing a particular reflection of that society. Okay. And that's really quite important. So what are we seeing in District 9 about that relationship between the prawns and the humans? What are we noticing there? How is District 9 as a movie is holding up a mirror to humanity? What is it telling us about humanity? Yes.
We are afraid of difference because of the cultures.
When someone is different to us,
We are afraid of what we
we are afraid, we are scared, we are filled with fear. Okay. And yes, that's very important. Okay, it does show that. Later on, remind me to get back to how they portray the Nigerians. Okay. Okay. They show us who we really are. When we encounter others not like us, sorry. In this case, not humans, but aliens, do we push to separate, assimilate, or acculturate? Okay, what are we doing? What do they do in District 9? Are they separating themselves from thoughts? Okay, do they have an attitude of paternalism? You know my favorite, well, not favorite, my most telling quote in that movie is when he goes to Christopher's house and he says, all you have to do is put your signature here. Just do this, you know. Just do this little, it's sort of like your mother would say, just open the yogurt and eat it, or whatever. There's almost a belittling in that thing, like if he is not entitled to understand what he is reading. Okay. Okay, so that is a separate. Assimilation, is there some form of assimilation within District 9 or Avatar? Is there a moment? Can you think of a moment? Tell me. I think it was Trent. I don't know who said this.
when Grace started teaching this
Absolutely. Grace's whole thing is assimilation. That's 100% assimilation. She wants to make the Navi like her. Okay. And do you see in that case of assimilation, when Grace walks in, that kind of naivety that she has, she genuinely believes she's doing something good. Okay. But there is this naivety. Okay, you see that. But she doesn't have a full knowledge of actually what she's trying to achieve. And then we have a culture rate. Okay, is an example of culture rate in District 9 or 11? Raymond. Yes?
In Avatar, I feel like when Jay was accepted into the novel culture
Okay.
and actually became like
Okay. Yes. Okay. Acculturation. Okay. Can we argue that it isn't acculturation? So, well, is it? Because that's Jay not bring himself and his own beliefs into the situation. Oh, I think there's someone who can argue against this. But it's really interesting. Go and think about it. Okay. I'm not going to give you the answer to this question. Do you succumb to humanizing? Do they succumb to dehumanizing? Okay, or rehumanizing. Okay, so that's very interesting. How do they dehumanize? What are the kinds of propaganda that you see? What are the kinds of language that are used? Okay, and if you look at Avatar, is this notion of rehumanizing? Okay, the Navi, how they have essentially been dehumanized. Is there something like that happening? Okay, and to what extent and how effective? Okay. In analyzing what the films reveal about human nature, be sure to analyzing the varying ways in which different human characters interact. How are they interacting with each other? How are these characters interacting? Okay, how are they interacting with the aliens? And this is where I actually want to bring in District 9, they have the Nigerians, right? Perhaps you all watched my video. And I said in the video that it was, I think I did, that originally when District 9 came out, it was banned in Nigeria. Do you know that? Did I say it? I did. Oh, good. Okay, it was banned because of the portrayal of the Nigerians in that film. And that's why I say the film is holding up a mirror to a society, okay? But we are only seeing the reflection of what that film is allowing us to see about human nature. Because even within the film media, in something like District 9, they are still othering. They are still playing on the stereotype of that Nigerian hustler. You know, the what's it, 491 scale. You know what I'm talking about. Okay? It's still playing on that stereotype. Okay? It's supposed to be a film that is unpacking how we other, and yet in and of itself it others. Okay? And that's how you need to look at these films. It's very easy to say one person, this is completely separation, or this is completely acculturation. But there is a nuance, okay? And I think if you can unpack those nuances, that's when you're going to do really well.
Yeah, also think about the colonel, right? This idea of military men being violent and aggressive and wanting domination. Exactly the same thing. Within the film itself, you have these stereotypes and this othering occurring. For just like District 9, in Avatar, the colonel for the military, wanting this absolute dominance over everything. Easy to see that stereotype.
Okay, as well as the way in which the directors use film techniques, guys. At the end of the day, this is a discursive essay on films, okay? And the most powerful medium, possibly is film, but it is a visual medium. So it's very nice. Please do include quotes, but you have to refer to the images. Okay. This film is its own form of propaganda. Okay? And so you need to look at it and ask yourself, what is the director trying to get you to see, believe? Okay, what is he trying to show me? What is that mirror showing me? What is that reflection I'm seeing? Okay, because that's what it is, remember? It's a reflection. Okay. And in every reflection, depending on how I choose to position it, depends on what you see. Okay. Okay, so to reinforce the film's message, and then I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I don't think Mr. George really did it in the initial one, but he says that advanced students could also include an analysis of the way in which alien cultures are portrayed in the film and how these portrayals reflect upon human nature, since the portrayal is a work of human imagination. So actually, what does the film say about the director? What do we see? What does the film tell us about the director? What is that mirror that he's holding? What do we learn about the person holding the mirror? Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, what? What are we seeing? Because he's holding up that mirror, and what are we actually seeing? What is the limitation of those beliefs? Yes, lovely, Trent. Okay.
Had a lot of thoughts in it. And he wanted to recreate that in the movie with it's still socially acceptable. That's why he has to bring maybe as the other group.
You know, yeah, that's really good, Trent. I'm going to say it again in case people didn't hear it on. But Trent has essentially said, and you can stop me if I haven't quite got it, but he said, yeah, you have a director who's South African, who's lived through apartheid, and so he's bringing his life experience into this film, okay? But he's also used chords because he doesn't feel entirely like it's not true to him to use people because it's still too sensitive and ish. Essentially, right? Kind of it. Okay. Okay, so that's what he's saying. And that is a very valid point.
And I think it's just a lovely contrast there between what the director of Avatar does. Because I mean, the Navi, they definitely look different, but they certainly have some human aspects to their faces. They have some defined human features, if you will. Whereas the prawns are exceptionally far removed from what we do.
In appearance, yeah. Okay. And why? Why do that? Why is it that District 9's director wanted to create an alien that's so far from human? Was it because maybe in many ways the story was far more truthful, and so it was more difficult to show that humanity? You know, those are the kind of questions you need to be asking, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So.
Guys, I'm stressing a smidge because I'm very nervous about how you're going to structure this essay. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you need to include in this essay, and I'm very scared that we go, here's a paragraph about film techniques, here's a paragraph about Cobus, here's a paragraph about Jake from Avatar. And then it's kind of like we've got 3 paragraphs that are just thrown together on one thing. Please think exceptionally carefully about how you are going to structure this essay. Essentially, obviously, you need 3 branches, but there's a lot of information that you have to include into each paragraph. You cannot just, you cannot just speak about jolted information in each paragraph. You need to be incorporating film techniques, assimilation, the 3 terms. There's lots you need to include. And so I'm telling you now that if you don't plan the essay properly, you're going to get halfway through and go, oops. Okay, it's not going to be a nice
If I was you, and this is why I say the planning is the most important, but if it was me and I was writing the essay, I would probably look at those 3 notions of separation, assimilation, and acculturate, and I would maybe then use those as my branch paragraphs. Okay.
Or you could have characters.
Yes.
So I don't think you necessarily have to deal with every single one of those 3 terms. You could choose to use one, could you not?
Yes.
And then speak about 3 different characters in the film that conform to that.
Your point of view, because remember that's essentially where you need to go, right? It says, the question says, do we push to separate, assimilate, acculturate? Do we succumb to humanizing or dehumanizing? Okay. And then it says in which the characters interact with alien cultures in the 2 films. Okay, so when it's asking you, do we separate? Do we acculturate? Do we assimilate?
And also, this is why when people like planning and just mushing together ideas. If you choose to write a branch on each of those three things, you then also need to be thinking about including elements of humanizing and dehumanizing into those branches. You can't just ignore the fact that the topic asks you about humanizing. You have to be including those ideas within your paragraphs that speak about separate, assimilate, and acculturate. So also, you need to think about your topic sentences or your branches very, very carefully. I can't stress enough. I'm terrified. I'm so
I think you do. You almost need to take a full hour to plan this. I don't think it's as scary though. So for instance, let's say you think of this topic and you say, I believe that essentially District 9 shows us that when two cultures meet, they aim for separation. While in Avatar, we can see that when two cultures meet, they attempt to assimilate, okay, or something like that, right? And you create your point of view, okay? When cultures meet, they often tend towards separation or assimilation, assuming these two things, okay? And then what you do is, let's say you pick, I'll get your question after. Let's say you pick District 9, okay? And you tell me that we have this separation, okay? You use that quote where he says, just put your finger, just put your signature over here or whatever, about how they're just trying to separate them, the whole thing. But then you also need to look at a film technique that further emphasizes this. Okay, so where is there a moment in a film, a particular shot, that further accentuates this whole notion of separation, keeping people apart?
And that would be included in your explanation of your field of feedback paragraph.
Okay, and so that would almost be like a little branch. Okay, see what I'm trying to say?
Thanks for making me feel better.
Okay, yes.
Can you choose one film or do you write?
No, you have to do both. This is essentially like a comparative or contrast essay, so you have to have both. It's a literature essay, but it is a multiple literature essay. So there's multiple texts that you're trying to push.
Just dehumanizing, is this referring to not the aliens, but Avatar? Because I know they have human similarities, but they're not. So how can you dehumanize something?
I know the word in itself is problematic.
No,
but
I also understand the word goes far deeper than that, but we have to refer to how District 9 refers to prawns in a bigger picture, because it doesn't make sense because we dehumanize animals all the time. So we have to refer to like aliens as humans.
essentially, yes, I see what you're trying to say. But yes, well, at least the way I'm understanding it is yes. So you need to show me how we have dehumanized aliens, even if they're not, because they're aliens.
So we need to give them qualities and rights.
Yes. Okay, I do not know who's sitting at the back. Yes.
Just like to a little bit earlier, are we doing this full constitution class?
Yes.
Doing it